because yeah, you're in touch with your motor racing history, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm a bit of a Porsche nut anyway, and I've got an old 928, and I love the old Porsche racing cars. So yeah, we've gone for the old IMSA spec kind of Rothman style retro livery. Yeah, but it matched the sponsors on the car as well. So that was where we came up with the idea.
Super work, Ollie. Great to have a chat to you. Thank you very much indeed. Is that your good lady wife? Yes, it is. Hello, Emma. Very good. And your dad, Paul. Hello, Paul. These are friends of ours for many years in the in BTCC pit lane and paddock, the Jackson family. And Ollie's just interesting to hear Ollie's journey back into rear-wheel drive and Porsches.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, it's not easy, is it, to switch, completely switch discipline and be straight back on it, especially with how competitive it is these days in the Porsche Carrera Cup GB, which can become a very young championship. The average age of the drivers is in the early 20s now, so there's a tough field as we've seen in the last couple of seasons. Really, it's been really tight in terms of qualifying. Really, just thousandths of a second between them. And Dan Camish found when he came back into Porsches after his year away from touring cars that it's not easy. Even though he won the championship, he had to really dig deep, didn't he, to win that third title a couple of years ago. So touring cars all lined up, ready to come out for 35 minutes of free practice in warmer conditions now. So the air temperature's crept up, not much, but to 19 degrees. Although with that break in the cloud, or slight break in the cloud, it might go up quite quickly now. But the track temperature's got quite higher. It was 24 degrees for free practice one. It's now nearly 31 degrees, so that affects how the drivers, the teams will look to set the tyres up potentially for this session. The first session, the fastest time was a 1 minute 25.507. Pretty rapid, not that far away from that record, which qualifying lap record, which was held by Tom Ingram. Tom Ingram was quickest this morning with a 125.507. And he was only 22 thousandths of a second quicker than Ash Sutton. He did a 125.529. And then he had Bobby Thompson with a really late improvement that got almost onto their pace as well with a 125.577 in the Cupra Leon to be 70 thousandths of a second away from Tom Ingram's time. Josh Cook was fourth. Dan Camish was fifth. Colin Turkington was sixth. Seventh was Ricky Collard. Eighth was Dan Lloyd, who was third in qualifying gear last year, and then Rory Butcher, who was second in qualifying gear last year, was ninth, and 10th was Andrew Watson in that first free practice session this morning. Matt James, the editor of Motorsport News, has kindly come back to the box for free practice too. Now, second free practice session, they've done all the homework, they've checked over the cars, hopefully got a few niggles out of the way. Now they're really looking at setting up for this afternoon, aren't they?
Yeah, as we said earlier on, a lot of the housework was done this morning, so it gives them this 35-minute session to see how the cars are on longer runs on the different types of tyre, and then also try and unlock sort of one lap pace out of them, so there'll be some setup changes towards the end. It's always worth, if you're on the spectator banks, looking out for the cars with their headlights on. That means the driver's going for a lap time and they're pushing on. That's a regulation. They have to put their lights on when they're going for a lap. So if you see someone with their headlights on, you know they're pushing on and trying to set a quick lap time. So that's something to look out for.
Yeah, and equally, keep an eye on the rear windows. The blue lights flashing means they've deployed their hybrid, which they're free to do in this free practice session for up to 15 seconds per lap, and that tells us when it's deployed, and that's an extra 40 brake horsepower. But for the top 7 in the championship, they'll get a reduced amount to use in qualifying. 1 second for the championship leader Ash Sutton, 2 seconds for Tom Ingram, 3 seconds for third, 4 for fourth, and so on down to just 7 seconds if you're 7th in the championship. So that's all you've got. Is not really a great deal of point. At least looking forward to qualifying and working out where you can use the hybrid. Of course, there might be a point later in the weekend where you do get back your full 15 seconds in race 2 or race 3. So you still need that data, don't you? And they'll test that out during this session as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, if you've only used it for 1 second a lap if you're leading the championship, and then suddenly you get, like you say, a full allocation, you're going to want to know, is it better coming out of Lodge, Old Hall, the chicane, the hairpin? You just don't know. So it's worth trying it out now. And experimenting with different places that you can deploy.
Bit warmer then. Certainly the track temperature has gone up. We'll see how that affects the times. We've got Dan Camish, Ash Sutton, in fact all of the Napa Racing UK quartet, Dan Rowbottom and Sam Osborne, all straight back in with tyre swapping going on as well. The cars up on the air jacks. They were getting lap times in fairly early, those drivers, in the first free practice session. But it did take a while in that first session before people really started to go for it. It was a good 15 minutes in before we had some proper lap times being set in the 35-minute session earlier on. Tom Ingram, though, likes this place. He was on pole position here last year, he was a winner here last year, and he was quickest earlier on in the Bristol Street Motors with Accelerate car. Still only had the one win so far this season, when he was very ill, in fact, at Snetterton a couple of meetings ago, a month ago. He got that reverse grid win, which he had to dig really deep for. As Alan said, he was kind of wobbling on the podium. He couldn't even stand up straight. It was a real effort, that, wasn't it, to get them a win.
Excellent. And it was an unkind day because it was very warm and very humid, and just not the sort of time you want to be in a cockpit.
No.
Looking at the times, please see Jade Edwards' car is now fully fettled, and she's back out on circuit, which is good news.
Yeah, the power steering issue, not permanently, but sort of coming and going, the power steering issue. But yeah, she was one of the first to leave the pits. That was good to see, wasn't it?
This is a bit more back to normal as well, because we've got proper sunshine now.
That's good.
Much more like it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Nick Halstead going out. It's his first full season in the BTCC. And with the ITVX branding on the car, because Nick has been involved this year in qualifying on YouTube, hasn't he?
I think he's very much the brains behind, or the power behind, or something behind these crazy carts that we were talking about a little bit earlier on. I was also talking to Tom Chilton about crazy carts, and I said, "You're doing it again, aren't you, Tom?" And he said, "Yeah, of course I am." And I then put it to him that is the reason that you have many children. Just so that you can carry on playing. He said, yes, of course it is. It's exactly why I do it. Every time a new Pixar film comes out, I tell the kids that I'm taking them.
There's a means to an end then for Tom.
So, absolutely, yeah.
Now, Al, just looking, obviously it's a while till we get some representative times coming through. I'm noticing there's some interesting decals on the top of the Motorbase Napa Racing UK cars, Al. Have you managed to investigate that?
Have you investigated this, or would you like me to?
I'm asking you.
I can tell you straight away, because I know. But are you struggling to know what they are?
Yeah, they don't seem to tally to anything.
The little laurels that are on the top of the roof of the car.
Yeah.
So some of them are on the left-hand side, some of them on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, that relates to the driver and the wins that have been achieved for the driver.
Okay.
The right-hand side, it relates to the manufacturer wins.
Right.
But, of course, you are also looking at category wins. So if you're looking at driver wins, you will have Sam Osborne with winning laurels on the roof, which relate to wins in the Jack Sears Trophy.
Okay.
Have I helped?
Yeah, no, that explains it. I was trying to figure out what they stood for. The numbers didn't seem to tally, but now I see.
Matt and I went on an investigative journey to find out exactly what the laurels were. It is in the history of Motorbase Performance that they do have little stickers to record every win that they have. It used to be a little Scooby-Doo, and every year it was Scooby-Doos that were put on the side of the car, the roof of the car, and that was big. David Bartram, the previous owner of Motorbase Performance, had a Great Dane many years ago that looked like Scooby-Doo, so that's why Scooby-Doo was the logo.
Right, this is good. We've mentioned Scrappy-Doo and Scooby-Doo in comms this morning, Al.
We have.
Very proud of it.
Yeah.
Velvet next.
Yeah. Stop it.
Right, it's about to get pretty busy because more cars being released down the pit lane. Ronan Pearson heading back out. He's done well this year, hasn't he, Ronan? I've been really impressed. He got on the podium at Donington his first weekend, but then ride height found he got the podium taken away from him, which is what got Sam Osborne his first podium in the end in BTCC. But that was unfortunate because that was the race where it went dry to wet, put the wet tyres on, and the lower profile of the tyres was what cost him the ride height in the end.
Yeah, he was unlucky there because I think a lot of teams would have been caught out if they'd have finished on the podium. It's just one of those races with a last-minute change. But yeah, Ronan, in a team with two very quick Toms. I mean, brilliant guys to learn from because they've been around in the championship for donkey's years. But you still got to get in and pedal it. And he's been absolutely great. And the impressive thing about him is he hasn't looked out of place in the middle of the racecraft. But, you know, when it gets a bit feisty, he can give as good as he gets, which is good to see, and that's always the sign of some potential to be unlocked.
Yeah, he's already had a few point-scoring finishes. You got that podium taken away, but he has been in the points, has been mixing it as you say, and yeah, with the Scottish Saltire on the roof, we'll be looking forward to Knockhill when we go there in less than 2 months' time now, ready for his home round. But he's another driver that's come up through the JCW Mini Challenge, so yeah, going well. In his first season, his first few weekends really, in the British Touring Car Championship, Roland Pearson. And with Accelerate, a very strong team that he's learning from all the time as well. But his best results so far this year has been a 12th place finish. He's had 3 out of the last 6 races. He's been in the points as well, so that's good form. Right, Ash Sutton, 1:25.804, best time so far. Best time earlier was a 1:25.5, so that's pretty quick, pretty soon in the session. From he's the only one that's anywhere near that. Second is Stephen Jelly, but that's nearly a second behind with a 1:26.704. So Ash has gone out there quite quickly. Josh Cook just being released as well. What's been really impressive with Ash is that he's got these pole positions and led races and won races with this lack of hybrid that he's had as the championship leader for the last few rounds.
Yeah, I mean, that was particularly impressive what he managed to do at Thruxton, but Thruxton is it's a unique circuit in the UK, and it's about momentum so much so that there's not big heavy acceleration zones, and so the actual penalty for having less hybrid use is probably minimal there than it would be anywhere else.
Yeah, it was certainly been noticeably different here, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What is interesting, Alan, I don't know, you might be able to keep an eye on this for us, but I'm watching who's using the carryover medium tyres to set their lap times and who's on the softs.
Yeah, because
we won't be able to use mediums in the race. Sutton's on the mediums. He's doing times on the medium. Tingram's on the soft, I've noticed.
So we'll be looking for white-walled tyres and green-walled tyres, won't we?
No, green to the wets. So it's white and yellow.
White and
yellow.
White, soft, yellow, medium.
Green is hard.
Green's hard. Blue is
wet.
Blue is wet.
Yeah, that's
don't confuse me.
It's white and it's white and yellow is what you're looking for.
So yellow wall tyres are the predominance down here in pit lane at the moment. Okay. So having said that, Colin is just going out on yellow wall tyres. Dan Camish is standing by with the bonnet up on yellow wall tyres as well. So the predominance that I have here in pit lane is yellow.
Okay, makes sense.
Don't think anyone's going to try the hard, are they, today?
No.
When you have
when they talk about the hard tyre, they always have in the same sentence something along the lines of, we got that one out of the way.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's going to be, isn't it? If it stays dry tomorrow, it's
absolutely
it's the least favourable option.
Absolutely is.
Yeah, and if the weather is looking a bit dodgier later in the afternoon tomorrow, you might get away with not having to use it at all if you save it to the end. So a harder tyre, I would think, you won't see much of that in race 1 and race 2 tomorrow if the forecast stays as it is.
Well, I've got a major incident down here in the at the back of the pits.
What's happened, Al?
A hose pipe has sprung a leak.
And is that filling a pooler? Is it that hot already?
It's all resolved.
Time, is it?
it's all resolved. That's all good news. Can't waste
water. It didn't cover you, did it?
No, I had to stop.
Did you get your trousers wet?
No,
good. Because that could look
not
bad.
At all. Saving that for tomorrow.
Don't say that. It's going to be beautiful tomorrow. Don't believe it.
Yeah.
It's going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, it will.
Right. So Sutton's coming to the pits now after setting that 1:25.8, but he has been joining the 1:25s now by Dexter Patterson. Good stuff from Dexter, youngest driver in the field, second season for the teenager. 1:25.938. Dan Lloyd, 1:25.970. Dan always seems to go well around Oulton Park, doesn't he, Dan Lloyd? So especially in qualifying. So he's up there.
Why has Jade got an exclamation mark?
Good point. Let me scroll through the screen. Was she not?
She stopped on circuit. Perhaps
not reappeared, has she? Yes, she's done 2 sector times and not third. That's she is up there. She's in the pit lane now. I can see it. So she's in, but she's arrived. But that warning name next to her. Let's see if she's picked up any penalties or anything like that. Not seen on the second screen. Track limits warning for Aidan Moffat. That's it, I think. So,
I think you need to investigate.
Want to investigate that, isn't it? Yeah.
What am I investigating?
Jade.
Why Jade's
Oh
got
yeah,
an
no, I'm here.
exclamation mark. Yeah, she's there.
I'm right here.
Yeah.
I'm right next to her. There. Can I just squeeze in? Hello, Jade. Can I have an update, or are you listening? She's listening. She's gonna. She's waiting for instruction. Can we have an update? Are you fixed?
Just continuing from session 1, basically. We're still struggling with the issues, so we've got Jamie Warren on the car now. He's obviously TM, so he's fully on it at the moment, but we're just seeing what we can do. I just need some laps at this stage, to be honest.
That is all you need, yeah. So that's the update then.
Thanks, Al.
Yeah, that's frustrating, isn't it? So still coming and going, this power steering issue on that new build car. So all sorts of teething problem with that one in particular. She's been really unlucky with that car. I mean, generally the Coopers have gone well this year. That's the one that's had all the issues, it seems. Andrew Watson up to 4th place, 126.041. Teammate Aaron Taylor-Smith improves as well, up to 10th position. Vauxhalls went really well at Thruxton. They always do, don't they? Always seem to have a good setup around there, the Vauxhalls. So they're all up there and going well. But actually, Andrew Watson's impressed pretty much everywhere this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's very much a case of people in the BTCC. Sometimes they don't look around at other forms of motorsport. And if you look at what Andrew had done before, I know you do, Chris, but if you look at what Andrew had done before in GT racing and things like that, he's a very, very good driver. This is a competitive field, but I think he's showing really well, and he's always had ability. The Vauxhall, as you say, very good car around Thruxton, very sort of supple chassis. It's very good for the high-speed corners there, as it will be for Druids and places here as well. Talking to the team this morning, Aaron Taylor-Smith lost about 12 minutes of track running this morning because they had to change the dampers on his car, and that's not a work of a moment. And again, as we mentioned earlier, this is a legacy of the fact all the teams voted to ban shakedowns now, so the first time they run the cars is when they hit the circuit, and if something's wrong like that, a fundamental, you're going to lose track time, you're going to lose live track time while it gets changed, so it's just one of those things.
Yeah, teams don't always vote for the best solution.
No, turkeys and Christmas does spring to mind.
So some years ago, we had this brilliant concept, in my opinion, still brilliant concept, that the grid for race 2 would be adopted from the fastest laps in race 1. And it always gave us a different result in race 2, not just for the grid, but for the race as well. And we only had it for 1 year, and it was the teams, not TOCA themselves, that decided that they weren't going to continue with it, which I always thought was a really bad decision.
I think you should make the rules up, Al.
Do you?
I think you should be in charge.
I wish I'd come up with that idea, because I thought it was brilliant.
Do that in the Radicals, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they do.
Doesn't mean you have to be a bit of a genius to work out, looking at the results, who's going to be on pole where and for what for race 2. So the grid's always a bit of a surprise.
But it was super, because if someone was having a bad race, they'd pop into the pit lane, put some tyres on, and go out and see it as an outlap and a one lap for qualifying. And I thoroughly enjoyed that.
So you're already spotting the loopholes, Al, aren't you?
Yes.
If you're 12th and downwards, pit, put new tyres on, go out.
That's what I do.
Exactly, yeah.
There you go. Propose maybe a new version of it. You have to be in the top. You have to be in the points for it to count.
Fortunately, I'm nothing to do with rule making, so
I think it'd be brilliant if you were.
A different winner every race. Anybody with a blue wing mirror starts on pole position in race 2. You've got not much company in the pit lane at the moment. Happily, one of the drivers is about to leave, and there's a queue of them, is Jade Edwards. So hopefully they've sorted that out, because she really needs the run. You don't want to go straight into a qualifying session having not really done a proper lap at all, do you?
We have so a quick announcement, everybody. And last time we did one of these, we got an immediate response. So hopefully we will. If you have lost your phone, it may well be the phone that Anita is looking after in the race admin building. That's the room that has got registration written outside it. Anita has got the phone. If you describe the phone to her, you may well be reunited with it.
Yeah, and that's at the end of the garages closest to the podium, closest to Deer Leap, rather than at the end, which is closest to the first corner at Old Hall. So you'll find it find it there as Tom Ingram goes top of the times, 125.571. That's only about 3/4 of a tenth of a second away from what he did this morning. It's the same top two at the moment because Ash Satney's second now, 125.804. And George Gamble, who improved up into the top 6 a couple of laps ago, he's gone up to third place now, 125.851 for George. In his second season of BTCC, made his debut last year in the BMW, the Car God Sicily BMW, as teammate to Adam Morgan. Sicily no longer a team within touring cars at least, although Adam's still got the same BMW with Team BMW now. And George, for the first time in his entire career, driving front-wheel drive car now, and it is a rookie that's just gone second quickest, because Andrew Watson, who we were talking about, has just gone up into second in the Vauxhall, 125.730. He was up there in the top 10 in the first free practice as well. Absolute best in the second sector. That gets him to within 1.5 tenths of Tom Ingram's time. So it's Ingram, Watson, Sutton, Gamble, Patterson and Lloyd as the top 6 at the moment.
I'm slightly concerned about the performance of the BMWs so far. Now, normally with Westside Racing, they do religiously stick to a technical program that they work through, and they don't show their hand in the early stages of a race weekend. But looking at the speed trap times this morning, they were all struggling. All 4 of them were struggling a little bit. Not really setting the timing screens alight so far, are they?
No.
But hopefully they'll come to the party towards the end of this session. But
I was having a conversation with Colin Turkington yesterday afternoon, and I won't talk about the...
I thought you were going to say you're having a conversation with your sat-nav.
No, that would be with Colin's wife. So I was having a conversation with Colin, and the details of that conversation not really that important, but he did just say at the end of the conversation as he was walking away, we've got Croft next, haven't we?
Yeah.
With a big smile on his face.
Yeah. If Josh Cookie's king of Threx, then Colin's king of Croft, isn't
Very much so, yeah.
That's true. But as Matt was saying, just keep in there. If you can't win, you can't get on the podium, just keep on scoring the points.
You need to be pointsy.
Colin is pretty good at that, as in very, very good at it, isn't he? 6 quickest this morning. He was the best of the BMWs in free practice 1. And then you have to go back to Stephen Jelly, who was 12th. Jake Hill was Adam Morgan was 15th. Jake Hill was 17th. And at the moment, where we got Stephen Jelly up in 8th place, is the best of the BMWs currently. Colin is 11th. Jake is back in 15th, and Adam Morgan is 16th. So, yeah, not where you'd expect to find them. Bobby Thompson had a good first free practice. He's about to head out in, wait for it, sunshine. It's properly sunny now here at Oulton Park. So that goes Bobby, the driver second in the Independence Championship at the moment. Jake Hill, just to as if he was listening, has just gone 7th quickest with his best lap of the whole 2 sessions so far, 126.008 for Jake. So there you go. That's not too bad.
It was just announced, wasn't it? I think this week that Jake Hill is going to be taking part in the touring car weekender that we have down at Brands Hatch in a couple of weeks' time. The Super Touring weekend. We've got a couple of races for Super Touring cars, and he's going to be driving Laurent Aiello's 1999 Nissan Primera, and he's very excited about it as well.
That'll be quite a combination, that, won't it, Jake, in that car?
He's having his historic race in the last couple of years. He's doing as much as he can, isn't he, Jake? Good.
He loves it.
Yeah,
he absolutely loves it. Can't get enough of it. And I spoke to him briefly about it this morning, and he's really thoroughly looking forward to it. Anyone know what Laurent Aiello went on to do after his racing career?
No,
I didn't know this, but I've forgotten it. Go on, Al.
Have you? Professional DJ.
Is he?
Yeah.
Really?
Still doing it now, apparently. Yeah.
As in radio presenting DJ?
No.
Proper hardcore
As in
DJ?
nightlife DJ.
Yeah.
But you're a DJ as well, Al. Does this mean you're going to go on to win the British Touring Car Championship in your second career?
I play the Bee Gees and Madonna, mate.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Did he have a DJ name though, or did he stick to Laurent Aiello? must have changed it a bit, surely.
Well, I don't know.
DJ Loza or something.
Yeah, but it's probably He's just done it with letters, isn't he? I, L, and O.
Yeah.
Oh, well
DJ
done.
I-L-O.
That would have been perfect, wouldn't it? Yeah. But didn't you just love the way that he came into the BTCC? Came in, won it, left.
Yeah.
Simple.
Gosh, yeah.
One job to do.
This is easy.
Completed it.
Yeah.
I've
Did
done that now. What's next? Yeah.
Off I go.
That's fair enough, isn't it?
And a great guy as well.
Super chap, yeah.
J.K. was definitely listening. What do you mean the BMW is not as quick as it should be? 5th quickest now.
Oh, has he? He's taking care of it, has he?
125.9. Yeah. Well, it's perhaps the first time this year in Free Practice 1 where he's been the slowest of the 4 BMWs, but he's normally the quickest of them, isn't he? Or one of.
I've just noticed a track limit warning coming up for Jade Edwards, so I wonder if wrestling the power steering around and going slightly off track is not a favourite, is it?
No, it's a bit better. You know, she had 2 personal best sectors before that, so both. I mean, it's not much to improve upon, but both maybe it's starting to work a bit better. She stayed out for a while as well now, rather than coming in and out. So hopefully, Will Powell had a black flag for track limits in the first free practice session. Had to be a little bit circumspect in this session as well. And Sam Osborne, great improvement in the 77 Napa Racing UK Ford to go 7th quickest. 125.944.
I was just looking at the Napa Racing UK cars, and you'd expect Rowbottom, the winner of the last round at Thruxton, of course, to be a bit higher than 22nd. I know it's early days, but he's a second and a half off, and it's not like he's not done enough laps either.
No.
Andrew Watson going well, but also he's got an exclamation mark next to him.
Yeah, he has. With also going well, Aaron Taylor-Smith, teammate's just gone 4th quickest, 125.808 seconds. So now we've got the top 17 cars covered by 9/10 of a second. Josh Cookie's 18th at the moment, 1.001 seconds adrift. But again, you don't know what they're all doing. You don't know what they're testing. You don't know if they're going for flat-out laps yet. But bodes well for the Vauxhalls, actually. We kind of expected them to go well because they've got a good record at Thruxton. But if they can be somewhere up there here in qualifying as well, I'd be really pleased with that. Watson and Taylor Smith both in the top 4 at the moment.
Well, Dan Lloyd was on row 2 last year, wasn't he, in a Vauxhall?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Very compliant chassis
yes,
around here as well.
Yeah, it was 3rd quickest in quali last year. Track, as I say, always goes well. Dan, former TCR UK champion, and he's been him and Bobby Thompson sort of leading lights in the Cupras this year. Got a good driver lineup there. Osborne goes through again. We mentioned Ronan Pearson learning from experienced drivers with Tom Ingram and Tom Chilton as teammates, and Sam Osborne has definitely been learning and picking up some feedback from his illustrious teammates, Dan Camish, 3-time Porsche Carrera Cup GV champion, and the 3-time touring car champion Ash Sutton as 2 of his teammates, and Dan Rowbottom with more and more experience as well. And he's another much improved driver this year, isn't he, Sam Osborne? He just needs to get qualifying right, doesn't he? The racecraft's been pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's, as you said, definitely in the right place to learn. And it's not only learning from the other drivers, it's learning from the engineers as well, because the collective sort of intelligence within that team has grown and grown and grown over the last few seasons. And being able to tap into that sort of know-how and that knowledge and being able to bounce ideas off the engineer is what helps you as much as improving your driving skills.
Yeah, as I say, qualifying has let him down a bit. He's one of the drivers that's done the most overtakes, gained the most positions in races so far.
So you never know if that's a good or bad thing, do you?
That's true. But yeah, he's been going significantly improved for him. But qualifying, yeah, he's so far 19th, 23rd, 17th, and 20th. So that needs to get more like head towards the top 10, 12 in qualifying, and he could be a regular points finisher, regular top 15 finisher. So Ingram quickest in a Hyundai, and then you've got the Vauxhall of Watson 2nd. You've got the Ford of Sutton 3rd, another Vauxhall Taylor Smith in 4th. First of the Toyotas, Gamble in 5th place. First BMW is Hill in 6th place. And first Cupra is Patterson in 7th place. Set his lap time pretty early on.
That's nice and nice bit of variety, isn't it? At the top, only
Not
one
bad,
car mentioned twice in the top 7.
That's it, yeah, exactly right. As Bobby Thompson now makes sure that he's the fastest of the Cupra Leons, because he goes up into 5th place with a 125.834. Patterson's heading back out now, actually, to try and improve. Tom Chilton, Will Powell, and Mikey Doble heading back out as well. What's Mikey doing at the moment? 16th place. He's been pretty solid as well in his first season in touring cars, having stepped up from Ginetta GT5 Challenge, where he was the champion last year.
2nd and 3rd for the Vauxhalls now.
Yeah, Taylor Smith improving again with a absolute best first sector, personal best second sector, and an overall lap time of 1:25.683. It's only a tenth away from the reigning champion. Oh dear, black flag for track limits for
you shouldn't have talked him
Sam
up, should you?
Osborne. No, shouldn't have talked him up. He's been going a bit too quickly, a bit too on the curbs or over the curbs or over the white lines, because black flag, second one today that we've seen. Earlier it was Will Powell, and now it's Sam Osborne that's going to be asked to leave the circuit. Missed the last 7.5 minutes of the session.
What, leave the circuit?
Yeah, well, not completely.
Alfa Romeo 96. Goodness me.
Not completely. Just get off the track. So 7 minutes 23 seconds to go. This is where you'd expect somebody's going to have a dummy run now in qualifying, aren't they? You'd have thought.
Yeah, the heat's going to be turned up a little bit.
Yeah.
Of course, this year they're going to be using the soft tyres. Last year it was medium, so you would expect that the pole time from last year to be beaten purely because of the fact they're on softer, more appropriate rubber for one lap.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened yet.
No, softer rubber, quicker, grippier, but doesn't last as long, but great for qualifying. Edwards going back out. She's certainly done more laps in this session than the first one. He did 6 laps altogether. She's already done 8, but still not an ideal prep. In comes Osborne then, I'm afraid, to end his session, but he's in the top 10. Mikey Dobor looks to make it 3 Vauxhalls up there, but at the moment he's in 16th place.
So when they you're obviously in the pit lane, so you see what happens. But when they get a black flag, do they then have to go and speak to the clerk and get told off?
I think so, yeah.
Or so they have to sort of march up the pit lane in shame in front of everybody and head towards Ian Watson.
Has Sam already come in?
Yes, just come in.
Literally just come in, yeah.
Okay, well, I can report on it if you like.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, I stand at the back of the garages for this pit lane because because it is so tight, and in particular during free practice when it's so busy, qualifying as well this afternoon. So I can tell you if anyone sort of marches past me.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to see if he's out of the car. I can't see actually from here.
It might well be that Ian Watson can
still in.
Deliver the
via radio.
Yeah, because all of the drivers have got radio contact, and Ian Watson can speak to one or all of them at any one point. So
you imagine it's like a dressing down from a headmaster, don't you?
Yes, and bearing in mind that Ian Watson many years ago in a former life was a mathematics teacher, then he's got all the nuances of delivering those tellings off even in driver briefing. So driver briefing every Saturday morning starts at 8:45, and Ian picks up the microphone at 5 seconds before, and at exactly the time he says, "Good morning, everyone."
Good morning, Mr. Watson.
And everyone kind of carries on chatting to each other, and he just waits. So he didn't say anything else. He just waits like a teacher would.
Yeah.
It's the silence. It's the silence that hurts.
Does he throw in the odd question just to check if somebody was listening or not?
So,
what did I just say?
He does allow for questions at the end, and normally he deals with them in very few words.
One word, funnily.
I like the thought he's just calling them all by their surname as well, just to be even more teachery.
No,
Rowbottom, yes. Sutton.
Because you got like Dexter Patterson, who wasn't at school very long ago. He's still used to this, probably.
That's a very good point. Yeah, brings back terrible memories.
Yeah, same. I had a cold flush there when you talked about that. Right, maths teachers and maths, crikey, don't miss that. Dan Camish has improved up to 7th place. Been fairly quiet in the session so far. Jack Butel has gone 6th quickest, 1:25.843.
And the Leons are loving this place, aren't they? 4 in the top 12.
Yeah, you're right. Bobby Thompson's 5th, Jack Butel's 6th, Dexter Patterson is 10th, but he was higher up.
Wouldn't it be nice if that carried over to qualifying this afternoon?
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Can't say there's any harder working teams than Team Hard, can you? They put their socks off as Camish goes quicker again, up to 3rd place, 1:25.710. There's somebody who's definitely trying a qualifying type run out. Oh dear, black flag, track limits. The second time that we've seen that in this session. This time it's Aidan Moffat that gets the call. So laying down the law here ahead of qualifying as to what you can and cannot get away with, and that's pretty unusual to see one in a morning, but to see 3 is very unusual. So somebody else has to report to maths teacher and be told off as Josh Cook gets himself up into the top 8.
Aidan and Josh have become really good teammates, haven't they? Because they've actually become mates as well. And they were doing a show at the NEC working together a couple of weeks ago, and they were getting on really like a house on fire, and that's really good to see. Josh did that before, didn't he, when he was teammates with Ash Sutton, and the two of them became really good mates. So it's good, but there is a limit to how much of a mate you can be when you're both looking for the same make and model of road car. So Aidan had it in mind what car he was interested in getting. Very nice car, pretty unique car. And Josh said, no, they're quite nice. I quite like them. And Aidan found one with very, very few miles on it, delivery mileage or something, close to himself in Scotland, and was thinking about going on to see this car. At which point he got a text message from Josh Cook to say, I've just got one and it's quite near you. Do you want to meet up?
Oh dear.
The happy ending to the story is they now both have a car, and it is the car that they both wanted, and all is well happy in the camp again.
So he won that race.
He did.
Very good. Minute and a half to go. Anybody on a flyer? Not really. Josh Cook's, personal best first sector. He improved his lap time to go 8th on the one before this.
It is interesting. There's 23 cars in 1 second, but the 23rd of them is interesting me.
Yeah, Colin Turkington, who's been very quiet in terms of quick lap. I mean, he's done a lot of laps. He's done more than almost everybody. 18 laps for Stephen Jelly, his teammate, and then Colin on 17. So he's done the mileage, but the speed isn't there yet. My
thinking is that it's not going to be anything to worry about when we get to qualifying. It might just be that we don't know exactly what they're doing during this session, but we shall see.
And that's touring cars all over, because he's actually only 0.8 of a second away from the fastest time, but that is enough to put him 23rd.
Always used to see it with Team Dynamics.
Yes, that's very true. There was, never really a Matt Neal or Gordon Shedden at the top of the times in free practice, was there? Stephen Jelly going back out. A few on outlaps now. And
Matt Neal, has been working this year in the pit lane. He's got a headset on for Team Hard this year. And if I get the chance, I'll have a little chat to Matt. Not now, because he's busy doing his job. But if I get the chance, I'll find out a little bit more about that from Matt Neal.
Yeah, that'd be good. So 10 seconds to go. Get the practice starts in this one as well, which is why lots of them going back out, even though they can't get a lap time in now. So Tom Ingram, Dan Lloyd heading back out on track to get their practice starts in. Tom Chilton likewise, teammate Ronan Pearce, and then Adam Morgan will head out. The flag is now out though. And so 2 practice sessions, and on both occasions the name Tom Ingram has been top of the times, and on both occasions it's been a very similar lap time, 1 minute 25.571. He's not always had the ideal prep in free practice this year, Tom, in the sessions, thinking back to places like Donington, but that's gone as well as it could have, really.
Yeah, it's a worrying sign for the others, isn't it?
So Tom Ingram quickest by a 10th. Aaron Taylor-Smith is going to end the session second quickest in the Carstor Power Max Vauxhall. I'll be really pleased about that. And Dan Camish third, 125.710. In that session, at least, is going to be the best of the Fords, best of the Napa Racing UK Fords, with Andrew Watson in 4th, Ash Sutton in 5th, always thereabouts. 6th place, Bobby Thompson. 7th, Jack Butel with a good effort. And then 8th, Josh Cook. 9th, George Gamble. And 10th in the end for Jake Hill in that second free practice session. Thanks very much to Matt for coming up again. Good to see you. Thanks for the supplies as well. Cheers, Matt. Then 11th place in that session with Stephen Jelly. 12th, Dexter Patterson, and another Cupra up there. And hang on, we spoke too soon, because Bobby Thompson, almost like he did in the first session, right at the end when everybody else has finished, goes across the line. He's gone top of the times, 125.554. So Bobby Thompson didn't do an absolute best anywhere, but he did personal best in all 3 sectors. So Bobby Thompson, who left it till the last seconds of free practice 1 to get up there into, was he 3rd this morning? He's gone quickest, 125.554. So scratch that about Tom Ingram being top of the times in both. He was quickest in free practice 1, but it's Bobby quickest in free practice 2, and a really good session that for Team Hard. So Thompson quickest, Ingram 2nd, Taylor Smith down to 3rd, Camish 4th, Watson 5th, Sutton 6th, Butel 7th, Cook in 8th, Gamble 9th, Hill 10th, And then 11th Jelly, 12th Patterson, 13th Osborne, 14th Lloyd, 15th Rowbottom, 16th Collard, 17th Moffat, 18th was Chiltern, 19th was Pearson, and 20th was Butcher. 21st Morgan, 22nd Doble, 23rd Colin Turkington, 24th Powell, 25th Hamilton, 26th Halstead, and 27th with the recurring power steering problem for Jade Edwards. So that is practice completed. That's the morning session complete. We're going to our lunch break now. Massive thanks to all the marshals around the circuit and in the pit lane for all their efforts this morning for keeping things running smoothly and safely. So thanks to all our volunteer marshals. We get the practice starts now underway. If you're anywhere near there, a chance to see practice starts for the British touring car drivers off the line. Good photo opportunity if you are over there on the start-finish straight. And then after around about 45 minutes of lunch, we're going to go racing this afternoon for the most part, with 10 to 2 the afternoon session kicking back off. The Haggerty Radical Cup UK with their first 25-minute race of the weekend. At 2:30 is the first Formula 4 race of the weekend. At 3:05 the Minis go for a 20-minute race. Then 3:40 is when we get qualifying for the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. 30 minutes for everybody, and then the top 10 will go through to another 10-minute shootout and showdown. And then at 4:40 Porsches go racing for the first time this weekend, and the Radicals get for a second race at the final race of the day will be starting hopefully at 5:20 this afternoon.